Welcome to the San Diego Business Journal's Community of Business podcast, covering all of the vibrant business activity in the greater San Diego metropolitan area. And now, here are your hosts, Kevin Leap, publisher, and Jeff Clementson, editor-in-chief.
Welcome to the San Diego Business Journal's Community of Business podcast. I'm Jeff Clementson, editor-in-chief of the San Diego Business Journal. And today we are joined by retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral David Boone, who is the president and CEO of SDMAC, the San Diego Military Advisory Council. Welcome, Admiral Boone.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome. Perhaps we could start out with a little background on SDMAC. Maybe civilians in our business community like myself may not be as familiar with the work that you do.
Sure. There's been a great legacy with SDMAC. It's 21 years old or young, originates back to when there was an issue when the Miramar Marine Corps Airfield Miramar was NAS, Naval Air Station Miramar. There was a ballot measure to potentially convert it to the regional airport. And some veterans got together and said, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and we want to help retain military readiness in our region. And they put together a PAC, Political Action Committee, to fight the measure. And that was the beginnings of SDMAC 21 years ago. And
is SDMAC mostly policy-based still? What is the mission of the organization?
So thanks for asking that. We focus in three areas. We advocate, we inform, and we connect. Those are only three words, but we do a lot of different things relative to advocating, informing, and connecting. Everything from our monthly speaker series breakfasts that many people know us for. We do an economic report once a year that shows the economic impact of the military on our community. We do a lot of legislative engagement. We recognize military superstars in our community once a year in what we call the Achievement Awards. So there's a lot of different ways those three words become realized: advocate, inform, and connect.
And recently, this idea that SDMAC started with an airport came into focus. I know that we've been in contact recently to share the news of the work you were doing for some military personnel who lost their homes in that plane crash by Montgomery Gibb Airport.
Yes, a very tragic event. The people in the plane all lost their lives. It was really a miracle that nobody on the ground was killed in that event. Cessna landed in a military neighborhood, and we, being 5 organizations that we referred to as the Emergency Action Group, responded more effectively than had been done previously. What's interesting about this story is the genesis of this started about 6 months ago when there was a potential federal funding impasse in a continuing resolution. We got together and started talking about it. In previous years, when there was a continuing resolution, potentially our uniformed service members would not get paid. In fact, that happened a couple of years ago with the Coast Guard. And so we talked about, if that were to happen, how could we mobilize the nonprofit community to support those families? And then it wasn't too much longer after that the California wildfires in LA happened, and we again talked about, well, what if that happened here? And what if that affected our military families? How could we be more effective? And so we created this group that involves not only SDMAC, but 0800 STEP, which is Support the Enlisted Project, Feeding San Diego, and Armed Services YMCA. So the leadership of our 5 organizations got in one room and said, if we were to coordinate our activities, how would we do it, and would we be more effective? And we saw the realization of that in the response to the plane crash. And we were on the ground within hours that first morning. And although very tragic incident, it gave us an opportunity to prove that what we are working together is more effective than working alone. And we still have lessons to learn out of this, but we're going to continue to operate in this way.
And specifically, what kind of services was this group able to provide? And is there an update on the families after they've lost their homes?
So the Emergency Action Group, the biggest single issue is communication. So as a leader of SDMAC, I work directly with the Navy to understand what the demand signal is. What is the need? Where is the need? And what's the timing of the need? I communicate that out to our other 4 partners. They each provide a little different services. Feeding San Diego, obviously, food security. STEP and 0800 provide both financial support, counseling, different kinds of response support. ASYMCA has facilities that were down the street from the crash site that initially were impacted. And so working together, I help communicate what the Navy needs are. They all provide service and provide feedback back to me as a focal point. We at SDMAC are almost like a command center to centralize that information. And then I have worked as the voice to the community. So I was on local TV stations a number of times to communicate. Initially, the requirement was more short-term diapers, wipes, food, clothing. And then as the disaster evolved, it transitioned to more monetary requirements to respond to the changing needs of those families impacted. In terms of a status update, they all so first of all, there were 40 families that were impacted. 4 of the homes were such that they couldn't move back in, and so the families that couldn't move back in were initially placed in short-term quarters like hotels, and then the Navy was working to get them into permanent type of situation. 26 cars were taken out, destroyed by how the plane landed. A lot of the neighborhood and homes were affected by jet fuel contamination, so they had to resolve that issue. And so, some of the families experienced some trauma being exposed to what they saw and experienced, and that's not unusual in these situations. So between the nonprofits and the Navy, providing mental counseling support was also key during this period of time. I have to say the response from our San Diego community was incredible. By 2:00 on the first day, I got a call from the base commanding officer, Captain Bob Healy. He said, "Turn off the spigot. we can't take anymore." And that's attributable to our community, right? And perhaps something that's unique about a military community, they all know each other in the community, right? But at any given time, you have a number of military spouses that are deployed overseas. And we had that case here. I think roughly 7 of the families, their spouses were gone. And so the other families know that, and they help support the families without their spouses while the military was trying to get some of the Navy spouses were deployed on ships in the Middle East, and it took them a week or so to find their way home. So anyway, the families are recovering. We had a great day on Sunday. The Padres provided tickets for them to go to the game and kind of take a breather given their set of circumstances.
Oh, that's really nice. Well, I think that our readers might be more in tune with SDMAC's work in the annual report on military's economic impact in San Diego. Why don't you explain how the military has become one of the region's economic pillars and the role that it plays in our economy?
Yeah. So first of all, there's 111,000 active duty military in our region. It's the largest in the country. 1 out of 6 sailors calls San Diego their home. 1 out of 4 Marines. So that's in and of itself a significant factor, right? You have a very large military footprint. And most people know about where the bases are: Miramar, Pendleton, Naval Base San Diego, Naval Base Coronado, Point Loma. What perhaps people don't have as much of appreciation for are the training ranges. The training ranges are at sea, undersea, in the air, in the ground, and terrestrial locations. And we have world-class training ranges in our region. Those training ranges support not only the units that are here, but units from across the U.S. come here to train. And actually, coalition partners from overseas come here to train. The training ranges have sensors, so they can evaluate their movement and how they did, how they engaged, and grade themselves in how they responded to certain factors. So that's what makes us so relevant in Southern California from a defense posture standpoint. Not only our proximity to the Pacific, but the training ranges to get units ready for deployment. It wasn't long ago I went to Naval Base San Diego, walking the pier, and 3 in a row, there was an Aussie ship, a Korean ship, and a Japanese ship, one after another, pierside, doing just what I described, here to do training. When you have a large military complex, of course, you have a large defense contract support structure. And so that's a big part of it, on top of our military and civil service personnel that live and work in our region. So all told, the direct spending is roughly $40 billion a year. That includes contracts, that includes wages for military and civilian. And we add a multiplier effect. So the barber down the street doesn't get a check from Department of Defense, but he or she benefits from the sailors and Marines that need that haircut, right? Or the grocery store, or you name a shop that our military personnel frequent, there's an indirect benefit. And when you add all that up, that comes out to roughly $63 billion a year from the defense sector. And that total equates to almost a quarter, roughly 24% of our economy is predicated on in this industry sector. So we make a big difference. And over the years 2019, 2020, 2021, while the non-defense sector business was declining during the pandemic, defense sector was actually going up. And so that creates resilience in the economy when you have different perturbations caused by other factors. So we're very proud of the impact that we make in this community, both from a cultural standpoint and an economic standpoint.
Yes, definitely. And I understand that there's some issues. I know that we've talked with this, personally before, and as well as published one of your recent op-eds in the paper about legislative issues in California and things that may not be working out as well to keep that strong business tie, that strong military tie, and all the benefits that we get as a business community from the military here. Why don't you explain some of the issues that you see in the legislative area and what SDMAC is doing to kind of change the rules to make it more favorable here for military personnel?
So I've been in this job 11 months. When I first got to SDMAC, I heard anecdotally that we're losing veterans to other states, but I didn't have any data. So I went to Department of Labor in Washington, D.C., and I got data. Over the last 20 years, we've lost half our veteran population in the workforce. We were at 1.2 million in 2003, and we're down to 600,000 as of 2023. So that's a significant drop. Veterans are leaving for places like Texas, Florida, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia. And there's a lot of factors, but the principal factor is cost of living. And when you look at how those states are incentivizing veterans, California is the only state in the union that fully taxes veteran or military retirement pay. And all those states that I mentioned that are attracting veterans have various taxation incentives to bring veterans to their state. They've recognized veterans are an important part of the skilled labor workforce. We are losing skilled labor in general for some of the same reasons. So we have been on a campaign since January of 25 to change the legislation about taxation on military retirement pay. There was two bills. One is AB 53, the other is Senate Bill 1. And it's also in the governor's budget to provide modest support to veterans. There are limitations on how much retirement income will be non-taxed or excluded. But it's a start. It's a foot in the door to advance this issue. So we're excited to have played a role in this. We're not over the finish line yet. Right now, the state legislature is in the middle of working through the budget, and there are a lot of challenges because the administration has pulled back a lot of federal funding, and so that's tightened things up at the state level.
Did you learn at all, like, the number of people that would like to stay in California versus moving? Like, let's say, if this passes, is that going to make a difference? Is it going to actually retain some people here?
I don't have data to provide numbers, but anecdotally, I meet transitioning military people very frequently, and when I ask them what their plan is, a lot of them will say, not staying here, and they take it as a personal issue that their military retirement pay is being taxed. So for some people, it's an economic issue for their family. For other people, it's almost an insult where they're being taxed on pay they feel they've earned through a commitment to serve the country. So I see both ends of the spectrum.
Yes, and as I understand it, there's some legislative effort or executive orders that are affecting or may affect San Diego as well.
Yes, there's an executive order came out a couple of months ago called Maritime Dominance, which really is about expansion of shipyard capacity. And the genesis of this is back in the 90s, the Navy in particular shut down a number of shipyards. It was part of the quote-unquote peace dividend from the post-Soviet era. But we find ourselves way behind in shipyard capacity, both for military and non-military commercial as compared to China. China's shipyard capacity is roughly 200 times our capacity. So the executive order provides guidelines and where they want to go with expansion of shipyard capacity. And we at SDMAC set up a focus group to examine what this could mean for the state of California. What we're trying to do is develop and provide policy that would make it easier in specific geographies, what they call opportunity zones, that would be designated not just in San Diego, but potentially the Bay Area, the East Bay towards Sacramento, where you could designate specific geographies that would have additional benefits that would encourage developers to get involved to expand shipyard capacity, such as taxation or permitting through the California Coastal Commission and other benefits that would encourage development within this framework, which of course would bring more jobs to the area, both skilled labor and professional labor type of engineering and architectural services tied to the shipyard and shipbuilding industry. We're in competition with other regions of the U.S., of course, the East Coast, the Gulf Coast, and the Great Lakes region. 5 governors from states in the Great Lakes region have gotten together and are putting a proposal for the administration to look at to have areas in their region designated. They see it as an economic boom for them to develop shipyard capacity there. So we're trying to work with the legislature. We recently got a joint resolution approved by the legislature, the state legislature, 73-0, and that was sponsored by Assemblywoman Lori Wilson, who we were working together with her staff to develop this joint resolution. So we're continuing to push this down the road and work with her staff to create a bill that has the right language to incentivize development in this area.
Well, I hope it comes.
It'll be exciting.
Beyond legislation, what is it that the business community could do to help military personnel in San Diego? I know we have some job training, transitioning type of organizations. What is it that you would like to ask of the business community to help our military service?
Well, the best thing is to really look at the veteran community hard when you're hiring up. And if you don't have a connection to the veteran community, come to SDMAC. We'll help you make that connection. And you can find us on SDMAC.org. We will certainly, depending on what industry area you're in, we can help connect you to the right people. But a lot of companies, and I retired 12 years ago from the Navy. I worked in industry for 10 years. I was the president of several engineering construction companies. So I understand the private sector demands, and you're looking to find the best people you can to advance your business activities. So I completely get that. And sometimes military people, while they have good ethics and good work habits, they may not be familiar with your specific private sector systems. And a lot of times they're discounted because of that. But I tell you, you won't find harder working people, and they'll learn fast. So my encouragement for industry is to look hard at the veteran community to fill your workforce. And we want to keep them here in California, and more specifically here in San Diego.
Yeah, and the military's jobs are a mirror to everyday life, so there's talent from across a wide variety of industries. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Everything you can imagine in a city is replicated on a base. A base essentially is a small city. So if you can imagine facility construction and maintenance, medical services, IT support, air operations, port operation, it's the full spectrum of city services. That's what a base provides and requires of their people.
That's great. And was there any other ways that you'd recommend our listeners get involved with SDMAC or serving the military community here or supporting it?
Well, certainly get on our website and see the activities that we have going on. I mentioned we do monthly speaker series. They're generally breakfasts where we bring in a very senior military leader to talk about what's going on in their world and how San Diego is relevant to them. And so we have incredible speakers that you wouldn't otherwise get exposed to. That's one aspect. But just as important, being in the room with the audience that we pulled together. You get a mixture of elected officials, government employees, military leaders, industry partners, educational people from the educational sector, National University, UCSD, SDSU. So the people we pull together in and of itself become an incredible network. One of the things that I enjoy in those, after I'm done speaking at the very end and we adjourn the meeting, I stay at the podium and I find that nobody leaves. They get in groups, and it's a forum that you don't experience anywhere else, and they like collaboration and connecting with that group of people.
Well, that sounds wonderful. I hope to make it one of these days. It's very early in the morning for me, and I have some things to do with my children in the morning, but I hope to make it one day. Well,
in October, we roll out the Military Economic Impact Report, and that is a lunch. So not so early in the morning.
I'll be there then.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Admiral Boone, for speaking with us today, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
This has been a podcast from the San Diego Business Journal, the community of business. Keep watch on the journal's website, sdbj.com, for this and other podcasts, past and future. Copyright San Diego Business Journal, all rights reserved.